3 days after winning the White House, a shakeup in the Trump transition team. Vice President-elect Mike Pence is taking over as chairman from New Jersey Governor Christie. Christie will remain as a vice chair along with Dr. Ben Carson, General Mike Flynn, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, and Senator Jeff Sessions. When asked whether or not they are being considered for positions in the new administration, some of Mr. Trump's closest allies are keeping us in suspense.
Right now, I'm pretty happy where I am. So it would have to be something where I believe that only I could do that properly.
We're having discussions. You know, my goal in all of this is not so much a cabinet position or any type of government position, but to really help America move in the right direction.
I don't have any updates for you on transition. I'm sitting here at the RNC, and it's a great job, and that's the one I'm doing, and I love it.
All right, Casey, do we believe any of them?
Aren't they cute and shy and bashful and in heavy consideration?
Yeah.
You know, but for sure, and you saw when he said, you know, thank you for electing me, you know, President of the United States, the people he specifically mentioned that repeatedly, people like Rudy Giuliani and Newt Gingrich, all of that, Dr. Ben Carson, Christie, they're going to get some kind of position. Assuming that they want it, I believe it will be offered. And you heard what Rudy had to say. I imagine he's going to want to have Rudy Giuliani very close by his side, and the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich.
Juan, any thoughts on who we saw? Any thoughts on who might be a surprise, a sleeper?
I think, though, the story of the day is Christie's gone. I mean, that he puts Pence in to replace Christie. And we know Christie's been having some troubles with New Jersey, being governor of New Jersey. But, you know, loyalty is a big thing for Donald Trump from all I can gather. And so I think it must have been very emotional for him to have to say, look, I don't think this is good to have Christie in charge of this. And then from the Democrats' perspective, there's the whole notion of so many lobbyists right now who look to be involved. Because remember, I know Kimberly. Kimberly's like in my brain at night telling me, drain the swamp, drain the swamp, drain the swamp in Washington.
I'm in Greg's brain, too.
In Greg's brain?
You
yeah,
might
but
have
like
a thing with the prostate. You have to keep getting up and drain the swamp.
I think the doctors
took mine.
That's not the swamp. I'm not involved. Anyway, he's got all these lobbyists, Eric. So people are like, wait a minute, I thought he wasn't going to do Washington people.
Well, there's no indication that he is. I mean, he has to hire, at least he has to hire quite a few tens of thousands of people. He needs 350 in the West Wing in the White House. He needs several thousand the first 100 days. He needs several tens of thousands going forward. And I know that group. They're not into hiring any of the establishment, the regular people who, anti-Trumpers, who took shots at them for the last 600 days.
Well, and I hope they bring some people from outside the system. You know, Peter Thiel's in there as well, who is a Silicon Valley executive and someone who's been in the tech business, because that has been part of Donald Trump's appeal. He's ran an unconventional campaign, and the hope is that he continues to the White House and runs an unconventional White House. Because what does everybody hate about Washington, D.C. and government? The fact that it's broken, the fact that there's too much bureaucracy. And what Donald Trump has done well, if you look in the primary, you look in the general election, he has won with such little staff, comparatively speaking, to what Romney had on the campaign team, what President Obama had on the campaign team. But I think a lot of that stems from the fact that he's a business guy, and the fact that you weed out the fat. You cut the fat. You work with a lean operating machine, and I hope that's what he takes to the White House. So maybe he doesn't have to hire as many people as they've had previously in the White House.
Greg has a point on that.
Needs a lot of people. Greg, so he is a businessman.
Right.
And I had this idea to like brainstorm today, run this place like you run a business, where he's chairman of the board, but you can have a board of directors too. So when you get a situation where Kellyanne Conway has been so great for him, I mean, she really brought that campaign back. Bannon helped him quite a bit. Reince Priebus came on, and this whole group worked together. Why not run it like a boardroom?
Well, I mean, look how it was run before. You have to talk about, you're talking about changing the mindset of the White House. The previous mindset was of community organizing. If you looked at the people that were there, they came from that kind of, I don't know, earnest, we know better than you failure. It was, you know, it's now falling apart. My big concern is how many FNC contributors are we going to lose? I mean, there's Bolton.
Not you.
There's Newton. Newt Gingrich. Newton. I like to call him
Wait,
Big Newton.
is this your appeal to the Trump campaign, to Trump White House?
No, I'm happy here. Big Newton, as I call him. Sheriff Clark, Giuliani. We're going to have to, like, go to Starbucks and pull people out of the line to fill up our afternoon lineup. It's going to be hard. I think a surprising nomination, we're talking about inclusion, making it different, and Donald Trump reaching out. His transition team should have Caitlyn Jenner. Somebody who actually knows a bit about transitioning. She's a solid conservative, a solid conservative.
This is why you're not
no,
on
I'm not
special
joking.
report.
I'm not joking. Donald Trump should reach out. He'd get the Kardashian vote. He would let people know that he's open to everything and everybody.
But
and
Greg,
everybody.
Greg, what about the bathrooms at the White House?
They'd have to address that.
Oh.
Can I
I think no, there's no men and women bathrooms.
Can I bring
No, but he actually, didn't Trump say that he liked everybody to use the same bathroom?
What expertise would Caitlyn Jenner have?
What do you
Oh.
She's brilliant.
Yeah, this brings us back to center for 1 second. In light of what Greg said, reach across the aisle.
Yeah.
So what about reaching across the aisle, say, in a Treasury Secretary, someone like Michael Bloomberg, who he may not want the job, but
What?
No, listen.
He bashed him
I
during...
know.
That shouldn't matter.
That shouldn't matter, and that's the whole
matter.
point. And Donald Trump is the businessman.
Stop being vindictive.
Bloomberg is
Here's
a
the bottom
very
line.
good
You don't
can't be vindictive.
It's not about being vindictive. It's about being
Vengeful?
smart. And if somebody doesn't share your same principles and ideas and specifically want to put forward the platform that the people elected you wholeheartedly
One
with,
word.
why are you bringing them up?
Newt. Newt was behind Donald, the President-elect Trump, 100%. But when President-elect Trump screwed up, who was the first one after him? Newt.
Yeah.
You can't have all yes men.
It's
you
not
got to
a
have
yes
one
man.
no
I'm
man.
talking about
You got to have
specific
one no
policies.
man.
All right,
But what if
here's a nice word about Donald Trump. Do you notice
President-elect Trump.
Oh,
Did you get the memo?
You know, it's hard for me. It's hard. You got to give me time. But
Juan's in recovery.
But I must say, I am, buddy. I'm telling you,
going
you're
well.
lucky I'm here.
Really?
But I'm telling you something. Ed Meese is on this transition team, and Ed Meese was highly critical of Donald Trump.
But if you look at someone like Bloomberg, it could be smart politically because Bloomberg has talked about running before. So what if he's eyeing 2020? You put him on your team, you take him out of the running. It's a good way to get one of your political opponents out of the way.
The beauty of Bloomberg as a Treasury Secretary, he's not a senior economic advisor, which I would say then you don't want that
but
person
that's what
there.
I'm saying.
But a Treasury Secretary where all he's concerned about the currency, he's concerned about money flows, he's concerned about people not having vindictive currency situations with us. I mean, that's a really fair, balanced approach.
Well, for Donald Trump, too, he also has to consider the fact that he wants to keep Republican majorities in the Senate and House. So he has to be careful about if he wants to tap any of the current senators or any of the members of Congress in the House. Because he doesn't want those to be open seats. He doesn't want those to end up, in special elections. And then ultimately lose potentially the majority.
So I have an idea. I like your idea, by the way, because I think the world of Michael Bloomberg. Yeah. But I want to take it to the next level, Eric. What about Elizabeth Warren?
Oh,
no, I'm Bernie Sanders.
That's what I'm saying.
I would do Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders. Yeah. They agree, Eric. They agree on Wall Street.
Juan's on Fantasy Island. There's not going to be any Pocahontas coming on.
Those two would blow up Wall Street. They would destroy Wall Street. Bloomberg's not that tough. Bloomberg's a smart man.
No, but Donald Trump is highly critical of Wall Street and the elite.
Okay, but look at the people that he said that he might put on there.
We have 2 minutes. We have to do another topic. I'm telling you, run this administration like a boardroom, man. What an interesting
like The Apprentice.
Concept. Like The Apprentice.
Oh, God, stop it. Don't be an idiot. It's like The Apprentice. That's a TV show.
Hey, moron. That was a joke.
Chairman and the board. Wow, I love this concept. All right.
You're
Two
fired.
of Hillary Clinton's supporters, Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, are now extending an olive branch. Juan, are you listening to this? An olive branch to work with President-elect Donald Trump.
When his goal is to increase the economic security of middle-class families, then count me in. I will push aside our differences, and I will work with him to achieve that goal.
Trump talked about his concerns about outsourcing, his concerns about a bad trade policy. If he is serious about reforming our trade policies and creating jobs in America and not in China, let us work with him.
And this highlights, Greg, that Trump is not a typical GOP Republican.
Okay, this is
some of these
like
things.
I would be obviously against Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren anywhere close to the administration.
Why?
But I said this to you last night at the bar. I said that Donald Trump is not a conservative.
I agree with
ideologically.
You. No, you're
he's
right.
a centrist.
You're right.
So if he is probably the most amenable to doing stuff like this that any Republican has ever seen.
Okay, but Eric, a minute ago you were dogging me for talking about Sanders and Warren. You just put them on TV.
No, I was talking about what they said. They're in favor of free trade, those two. They're not in favor of NAFTA and TPP.
No, they're in favor of doing away with some of these free trade deals to protect American workers.
That's exactly what I just said.
So that's what I say to you.
Doing away with trade deals, not free trade deals.
Okay, no.
And
big difference.
And one quick thing, Lisa. I think when you look at Donald Trump's what looks to me the #1 thing he's going to do, infrastructure spending.
I love it.
So does Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Hillary Clinton.
But those two are going to be his troublemakers because with the diminished Democratic presence in the House and Senate, those guys are going to be the ones that are causing trouble for Donald Trump, causing trouble for Republicans at large. I mean, those are the people he needs to eye.
The good news, KG, is that the Republicans held the Senate. They have a stronghold in the House, and 2018 is going to be even better for them in both chambers.
Absolutely. They've got the cards on the table, and so fine. Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, people like that, have nowhere else to pivot. They've got to say we're going to come to the table, and to the extent that they can have some common ground on common sense issues that are going to benefit the working class Americans out there, we can give you a chance.
What about Omarosa?
Oh, no.
Where's she going to go?
Get out of here.
It's just like The Apprentice. Come on, guys.
We'll leave it right there. The programming note, make sure to tune in this Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll be here with a special live post-election edition of The 5. You don't want to miss that.
Great day.